You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the January 10th, 2023 meeting of the LaPorte County Drainage Board. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Yeah. Going to open the LaPorte County Drainage Board meeting for January 10th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If you have any electronic devices, please turn the vibrators, turn them off. Roll call.
Joe Cuson is absent. Hugh Glasgow.
Here.
Tony Hendricks.
Here.
Connie Grammarosa.
Here.
Jeff Mitzner.
Here.
Pat Vance. Brad Adamski.
We have a quorum. I'll open up the floor for nominations for President of the LaPorte County Drainage Board for 2023.
I nominate the Honorable Jeff Mitzner,
I second.
President.
There's a nomination and a second for Jeff Mitzner. Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. There you go, Jeff.
Okay, I'll open up for nominations for Vice Chairman.
I nominate Hugh Glasgow.
Second. Any other nominations? Nominations to be closed. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. That's pretty tough. I'll now open up the nominations for Secretary.
You nominate Kristen.
No, I nominate Christy Kyle. Kyle.
Make sure you turn your microphones on.
Second.
Second.
Nominations closed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Open up nominations for Attorney.
I nominate Brad Adamski.
Second.
Yes, second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now the joint boards, Christy, how many do we have?
Okay. Yeah. So there are joint boards of, let's see, Hugh had, but Hugh, you can say whether you want to have these or not. You are a soil and water liaison, and the 4-county joint board, and the LaPorte Porter joint board, which doesn't meet. I don't think they really meet anymore.
Nope.
So do you just want to do one motion for all the joint boards? In the at-large position, there was a soil and water liaison, and the District 1 position that Pat Vance will hold. He was a 3-county LaPorte St. Joe joint board member and soil and water. So you guys can decide who wants what position.
Okay, a little background at Fort County Board.
He wants your mic on there, you. For the home viewers.
A little background at Fort County Board is they handle quite a bit of work down there, and it's kind of important. They only meet though like 4 or 5 times a year, and I have a conflict of interest down there continually. I mean, I'll do it if nobody else wants to, but when they have a meeting, you need to be there because they have trouble getting a quorum.
You want to table it till next meeting? See if Mr. Vance would want it?
I think as a new member, we have to give him time to work his way into this. So I believe that it should be either somebody who is down there and understands it, or.
Do you know when their next Do you know when their next meeting is, Hugh?
Sometime in February is all I know.
Would it be a conflict of interest if somebody that lives down there takes it?
No, I think he's saying he has a personal conflict with his property and some of the things they're doing. So, I mean, generally you want somebody in that area to serve on the board. They've got an interest in it.
How about you?
I guess that's gonna be me then, huh?
Right.
Okay,
Thank you, Jeff.
so we still got a point, so that's 4 county board, I'll take that. So we still gotta have soil and water and LaPorte, Porter County Board, correct, Christie?
Yeah, and LaPorte, St. Joe County.
Who did those before?
So the LaPorte, St. Joe County board member was Steve Mrozinski, so he was District 1, so that's gonna be Pat Vance.
Okay.
That doesn't mean much, right?
Yeah, they very seldom meet.
So LaPorte, St. Joe will be Pat Vance.
Okay. The LaPorte, Porter, I don't even think, they're pretty much disbanded.
Disbanded, yes.
We just need a soil and water and a LaPorte, St. Joe.
I thought Pat Vance is doing LaPorte, St. Joe, right?
Okay. So we just need a soil and water liaison.
You wanna do that?
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay, Hugh will do the soil and water liaison. Any others we gotta do?
I think that's it.
Okay. I'll ask approval for the minutes of the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we're gonna open up now for anything else to get added to the agenda. Does anybody have anything?
No additions.
We're gonna need to add 400 West, the Webster Ditch, and a Casey's project in Wanata.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we'll move on to Ridge Run Ditch Fund, maintenance bids.
All sealed bids are in that envelope along with the set of specs.
Got a Ridge Run Section A and Section B.
Section 8.
A and B. Section A. Section B. Section B, Section A. Want to open them all first and then we'll, this was for
We're
wood.
now open.
Okay.
There's no one in the audience for bids for that project?
Got 2.
Not, okay, so we're gonna close bids, thanks.
Okay, so let me just go ahead and read these and you're gonna take notes on them then, Christie?
Yep.
Okay, Mint City Utility Service for Section A. A total of $26,452.50. For Section B, a total of $22,898.70 for a grand total of $49,351.20. Carl Netzer for Section A, $14,450. And he's got his copy of the certificate. Did Carl Netzer have one for B?
Haven't got there yet. Not over here.
Okay, looks like Carl Netzer just bid on section A. Alsop Construction out of North Liberty. Section B, 27,500. And he has a certificate of insurance. Do we have a A from Alsop?
Right here. Didn't get it open yet.
Alsop Construction for section A, 29,500. You got another one there?
Okay, I got two beavers here. A and B.
William Beaver Excavating out of Plymouth, bid for section A, 13,500. And a bid from William Beaver Excavating for a bid for section B, 22,500. Did you write all those down?
Pretty much. Beavers is the lowest by far. Is it? Beg your pardon?
Where were you from?
I just gave him Chris yesterday morning.
It's
These?
those.
Okay. Sorry about that, sir. Open that up. That baby's sealed good. Okay, for section A, Barrow Services out of Mill Creek. For section A, 23,628. And from Barrow Services, section B, $19,272. Now is all the bids?
I write all the bids I receive on the outside of that big envelope, so just make sure we got everybody.
Barrow, A and B, Alsop, Beaver, Mint City, and Netzer. Should have 5 different bids.
2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5.
Okay.
We're looking at the funding here. We're looking at what funds we have in this pitch. Yeah.
Do you want me to say how much?
Tell them how much we have in that fund.
Okay, so the funding for the Ridge Run drain is currently at $10,142. I have approximately $30,000 in general drain improvement fund that we can borrow from, but we like to keep a little bit of a cushion in case of emergency in that.
What do you recommend?
So,
Okay, so looks like the lowest bid's 36,000, and Can we split this up and just do,
Yeah, exactly. That's why we did A and B separately, so that if we didn't have funding to do B, we could still just do A.
So we'd recommend just do A.
A is more important?
Yes.
Yeah, A was the priority section.
Well, I move that we go with Beavers for $13,500 on section A.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, we'll move on to agenda number 3, future projects. Bank spraying.
Okay, so I have a set of specs together that I'm going to send out today for the ditch bank spraying for this year. And because I have other projects that involve the actual cleaning, that the only 3 ditches that I want to do bank spraying on this year would be Bull Ditch, north of County Road 800 North, and the Little Kankakee River and the Rodman Ditch. So I can send that out today for bids to be due back in March to spray those 3 ditches.
Okay.
And we have 2 bidders on that, usually highway management and,
Yeah, I might have a third this year. Right-of-way management, Dalton's, and Hill Excavating.
very good.
We need a motion to go for bids.
Motion to put that out for bid.
Take a motion to put that out for bid.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Under number 3, future projects, Behringer Ditch.
I have a Behringer ditch that has been extraordinarily high the last couple of years, so I want to initiate a cleaning project to do that whole thing. It's 3 miles total. So I want to put that out for bid today to be due back for next month's meeting, February 13th.
Motion to send out bids for the Behringer Ditch.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. All right, so we're going to talk about the 400 West, 1650 South tree situation along the county road. You want to talk about that?
First of all, we added that to the agenda, and normally I like to see something put on the agenda like a week ahead so that all parties can be here. And we're a new board, and so I'm gonna let that slide, but generally it's better if everybody gets a notice ahead. I think we do have different parties here today, so.
Yeah, I sent the agenda out early before the end of the year just because of workload, but yeah, when we get we'll be on a new schedule. You'll get everything ahead of time, and so everybody can be here at the meeting together.
Okay, 400 West, Gene Schmidt and other farmers are concerned down there because there's some big cottonwood trees forcing the ditch. It's a quart ditch, the Cook arm of
That's the Tuesburg.
the
Yeah,
Tuesburg,
the Tuesburg ditch.
forcing the ditch toward the county road, which would be 400 West. And I think the problem could be solved if the trees were killed. They're big cottonwood trees. They're in their last stages of life anyway. And then there's talk that some farmers down there were willing to dredge that ditch. With the trees gone, the ditch could be dredged toward the east, away from the county road. But the worst thing that could happen down there, in my opinion, is if the county had to put up a guardrail for some 500 feet to hold that bank and keep. So I would like to see that we move as a board to give the local REMC and the county highway department right away to work on our easement.
Okay, I want to add to that just a little bit. I was in contact with the RMC yesterday, and I also talked to Al Stevens this morning. They are willing to come down there and cut the trees. They want to meet with their tree people first before they decide exactly how they want to do it or how they want to do it, but they're thinking the easiest way for it to be done when we do it is just let them drop the trees in the ditch, and hopefully the county highway will have an excavator there, and then they will remove the trees for us. So that's already in the works with them. We just need to know if we can proceed in that area.
So to clarify, all you're asking for, or all they're asking for from the board, is permission to use the easement?
That is
We're
correct.
going to do it.
We don't have any money on that ditch. We can't do anything as a board financially.
Okay.
Normally, we'd have a hold harmless, but since these are public entities, it's not.
Yeah, not.
I think as long as the board approves use of, working in our ditch, I think we're fine.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second, or, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. The next one we're going to talk about is the Webster Ditch. Is there anybody here from the Webster Ditch?
I'm here to talk about it.
Okay, come up and state your name, where you're from.
My name is George Ladon, and this is in reference to my mother, Marie Ladon's property, which is north of Highway 6, and it's served, the farmland is served to be drainage by Webster Ditch that she gets assessed on. And last year, we had the ditch cleaned that the board had put out for bids. And nothing has changed as far as the amount of water north of 6 and south of 6. The property directly south is Nancy Malone's, and I've taken pictures of what it looks like, which is overfilled banks. It's basically a pond north of 6, and south of 6 it's trickling and not much movement there. So what would appear is that there is a restriction from the culvert that was put in under Highway 6.
Culvert.
So I have pictures. I already gave Nancy a set, so she sees exactly what I'm giving you guys. So if I could approach, I'll give you guys these, and then you can just kind of look around on the back of it. It'll either say north of 6 or south of 6. North of 6 is my mother's property. South of 6 is Nancy's property. But it is just a stagnant water. When I did put my rotary laser there and I could get a measurement from north of 6 to south of 6, the difference in height was about 1/4 of an inch to the top of the water. So I guess I'm asking what steps can be taken, what measurements can be made to determine whether or not that culvert of Highway 6 was put in too high.
We have the Indiana Department of Transportation construction plan, so I would think our first move would be to ask NDOT to get with us and look at it.
Okay?
Because we have the plans, and I'm sure if they don't, we can dig them up. They're their plans.
Okay. Yeah, because the land, it just doesn't drain. North of 6 is just, the banks are full, and south of 6, there's hardly any water.
All right.
Is this ditch assessed at all?
Okay, so north of 6, that's part of the McKellips watershed, and that was assessed, and that's why we cleaned it last year. But south of 6, it's the Webster ditch, and there's no assessment on that. And they're both regulated, but there's no assessment south of 6.
And I did just speak with Nancy regarding the assessment, or whether or not she would like to get assessed on that, and I directed her to talk with you guys as to how you become an assessed part of this ditch.
So, Christie, let me make this clear. North of 6, that was an assessed ditch, and we paid for that?
Correct. So north of 6 is the McKellips ditch watershed, and that is currently under assessment. And we have money in that fund, and we initiated the cleaning a year ago, north of 6. Now, south of 6 is a separate watershed that's called the Webster ditch that is regulated but is not assessed. So to put that under assessment, we would have to go through a public hearing process. So we would initiate a surveyor's report. We'd come up with estimates, how much per acre. If the board accepted that report, then we would have a public hearing and put that assessment on all the property owners within that watershed. So time-wise, that would take the majority of this year and then you wouldn't have the amount put on the tax bills until pay 24. So first case scenario of getting any funds to do anything we'd be a year and a half out at least.
About how many registered letters would you have to send out to do that?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the watershed to see how many people we had in there.
I've been on this board sometime and I've sat through two of those hearings, and they were very difficult, contentious, and I haven't seen one. Well, I saw one pass in 1989. That was tough.
And so all affected parties would receive a letter, then people would come and remonstrate as far as whether they want to be a part of this or not. And is it based on a plurality of
No.
them, or if one objects, then that's it?
You need 10% of the landowners to sign a petition, and then we have 3 public meetings, and then the board just decides.
Oh,
The landowners don't decide it.
they don't decide, okay.
We do have to have certain landowners initiate the process.
Okay,
When the board motions to accept that, there is a time period that allows for landowners to file a thing that, like a letter of remonstrance that can throw a wrench in the plan. Which has it's happened maybe one other time. That can put it under a judicial, or not like a judicial review, but a review prior to the assessment becoming finalized. Like a 30-day period has to pass before you can finalize the assessment.
On the objection period afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a process, to say the least.
but if Nancy did want to do that, she would approach and ask you guys to look into it, or how would that work? Is that, because we can't do it, my mother can't do it, she's already part of it.
Right. She may approach personally the surveyor's office to get some help with, getting it initiated. But before it gets to the board, like Mr. Glasgow mentioned, you need 10% of the property owners signing a petition formally to bring it before the board, before they can even consider it or set it for public hearing. So even determining what that 10% is difficult for an individual to do. That's where I'm saying maybe their office can help.
The surveyor's office?
Yeah.
Oh. And 10% of who would be served, so you got on one side of the ditch and one on the other side, if that is the dividing line, or how far back are we talking about?
10% of the watershed, 10% of the Webster watershed.
The way I experienced it, it was 10%. It could be one person signed that and have 10% of the watershed.
Okay.
So I was gonna try to get something together for today, but it didn't have time. So that is something that actually I would develop. Everything's digital now, so it doesn't take as long to pull a watershed, pull some property owners, get some numbers, throw some numbers together.
Okay.
It's not, it's doable.
So we could do 2 things at once. One would be to look at that as well as approach IDOT.
And, right, yes.
So those 2 things could happen at the same time?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess that would be what I would hope could happen, to see if we could alleviate the water in the saturated soil of north of 6, if you guys wouldn't mind doing that.
But in the meantime, you're still gonna check with NDOT and see, so it's not just a petition on your end, we're still gonna do some work on our end.
And then they will explain to you, well, no, actually, this is correct, but they could actually meet out there with a member, and, just, all you would have to do is observe it, so.
Yeah, we've all done, I know I've done field work out there in the years past. I think Tony has. We've all looked at it and it's just flat through there. So yeah, the numbers you came up with, I agree with, because it just doesn't flow. So.
Yeah, okay, all right, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the Webster ditch? Did you want to speak?
I'm fine.
Okay. So we're gonna talk to NDOT and take a look at that then?
Yep.
Yes, we'll contact. We will contact NDOT, and then if I get anything developed on the watershed before the meeting, I'll email it out to everybody so we can look at it
Do
prior
we
to
need
the
a
meeting.
motion on that then?
Nope.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda, added to was Casey's at 421 and 30 in Wantagh.
So I went out yesterday and met with the supervisor of the project at Casey's because they were doing some activity on the Ecker ditch, which is a regulated drain that's not assessed. So basically, they are going to put in. They have two entrances coming off of 421 that they're going to install 6 by 6 foot by 8 foot concrete box culverts along with stabilization. And they had not approached the board with their plans because they had only dealt with the town of Wanata, so they didn't come before the county for any permission. So I instructed the supervisor to send me, as soon as he got a chance, which I was hoping I'd get something for today, but I haven't yet, a set of PDF plans that have the drainage calculations on it so that we know that that's going to be adequate, and then we have it for our files. But the 6 by 8 is way larger than the little tiny culvert that's in there now, so we should, it's going to be an improvement to what's there, but we're still awaiting those plans. So I guess it's going to be a motion based on receipt of plans from the project manager.
Yeah, motion to allow it, the project, subject to Christie's or the surveyor's office review of the plans and approval of those,
And hold harmless.
and to hold harmless.
So move.
Question on that first before we make that motion. With that being that much bigger, that ditch kind of starts there. Is that going to be a problem downstream? I'm assuming not, because the ditch.
Yeah, it's kind of the headwaters. But it's a lot bigger than the culvert that's in there now. I do have a picture of the little culvert if you wanted to see it. It's a significant increase.
We'll look at it, and their engineer and us will discuss that.
Okay.
Upper watershed.
That's what's in there now.
Yeah, there's a tiny little pipe.
Teeny tiny, crushed.
But we don't want to inundate the downstream people with a whole bunch of new water. It's a balancing act.
Yes. Okay, so we got a motion to approve that as long as, on the floor, as long as Christie and Tony approve that. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Move on to number 4, monthly reports, Hudson Lake.
I'm going to open the floor to.
Good morning. I'm Georgette Joyce, 7299 East Hudson Point Lane in New Carlisle. And we started, I'm just going to give you a little background so that I'm not coming at you with information that you have no hooks to hang it on. But we started working with the Drainage Board about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, related to, there's a drain on the lake that was put in 1980, and we're working to make it a way so it could be managed to keep the lake healthy along with all the competing needs of the lake, be it sewers, road or flooding and so forth. So my update is related to, we purchased a tow talk device which measures the water level. So it's been put on a resident's property. Tony has helped us do the surveying portions of it. It's installed and operating. We need to adjust some of the numbers on it because it needs to be cleaned up a little. I had put some old numbers on there, and we have to update them to the NAVD 88. So right now the lake is about 3 to 4.5 inches above the weir. And we're also working closely with the DNR with Ryan Mueller. He's the deputy director out of Indianapolis, and we're working together to put together a community meeting in February or March so that we can embrace all the needs of the lake and educate as well as get concerns and work on those. And we also applied for dredging grants with the LAIR. They were submitted on Friday, and last year we had done it. We didn't get win a grant, but hopefully this year we'll be in better shape. And I guess that's my fast update.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
For the board's information, the toll hawk gauge out there, the weir is a concrete weir. It's not going to move physically up or down. Put in, I don't know,
1980.
1980.
1980.
1980.
So they set the tolt hawk gauge, and you have to do a locate the top of the weir in relation to the gauge and where it takes up numbers. So we did that with our GPS, and we know where the tolt hawk is. We know where the weir is. Now the number of that, the elevation number of that is different because in 1980 it was NGVD 29, and we all use NAVD 88 now, which is a difference of about 4.5 inches. And the GPS will fluctuate about 1.5 to 2 inches. So the page shows, and we're working with the Tolt Hawk people, the page shows an NGVD 29 number of 763.09, and these are just numbers, they're not actual elevations. The physical elevation is what holds, the actual concrete. So the difference between the concrete and Tolt Hawk gauge are what they are. Now the number we're all discussing, and we'll probably have to ask DNR to help us here, is to make sure that the number on this page matches the NAVD 88 number and that they can double check with us. But I did have them put a line on the gauge page that says top of weir, so everyone knows whether it's above or below the weir, the water. And that's really the most critical point. Now the next phase that I believe the Conservation District is going to work with DNR and maybe some legal circuit court ruling is how high above or below the weir can this fluctuate? And that is the crux of this whole argument. But for now, like we sit in the meeting here, we have a live update of if the water's higher or above or lower than the weir.
Yeah, so the goal is to record all the levels of the water and then the incidents that occur related to the level, so we know what the true level of the lake should be rather than artificial one that's monitored, adjusted by a drain, which isn't really been healthy the last couple of years. We've had severe low levels. People had to put their boats out, a month or two ahead of time. We weren't able to navigate the public ramp and things like that. So this is all about keeping the lake healthy and at a good level.
And the best part of the Tolt Hawk gauge is that Tolt Hawk can model what happens when this water's low and what happens when this water's high, where it recedes into the lake and where it floods in the lake and where it recedes when it goes down low. So DNR will be very helpful if there's a change in the legal elevation of this water level. That model will guide them on how high we can go and how low we can go.
So the Hudson Lake Conservation Association has been around since 2005 and very active, especially the last 2 years with relation to anything related to the lake. So we did the fundraising to purchase the Tolt Hawk. We installed it. We cleaned the drain out this past year, and last time it was cleaned out, it cost $1,700. We got it done for the drainage board. So we care deeply about our lake. This is our heaven on earth, and that's why we're on the agenda every month.
I'd like to add something. I've been on this board for a while, and this Hudson Lake has taken up quite a bit of time. Our association with this Hudson Lake as a board is we have a $400 and something odd assessment on a tributary to this lake upstream. That's it. We don't have any money. And I sincerely urge, we talked about the process where you can make it into a assessed ditch or assessed conservancy. These people have the power to circulate a petition, have taxes, instead of begging for the county to pay for it. They can pay for it themselves, as Bass Lake has done. They've got a pump at Bass Lake. They're installing a second pump to make their lake level, as they've done at Union Mills. All private people dredged that whole mill pond out. And they have the power to do it themselves. You have the power. And don't tell me you can't put a well in. The significant water usage charge so that you could put 1,000-gallon minute well in. And you could charge each, there's hundreds of lots. You could charge a couple $100 a year and have a great lake and leave us out of it. You would have your own control.
Well, I think the only reason why I'm here is because of the drain. And we have not requested money. Yes, you did pay for the one cleaning of the drain, and we were very grateful. But this next cleaning and the cleaning point forward, we're going to do. We did the fundraising to do the Toad Hawk, and certainly respect the fact that we can do other things and appreciate the input, but we're on a long list of what we can get at and when, and you know, that has been on our list. We just haven't pursued that. Right now, we have the projects of the dredging and the treating invasive species, and I'm working with the DNR on the drain. And we've been working with for the sewers to come in. So our plate is pretty full at the moment.
So for the board's information, DNR, this is a DNR weir and a DNR gate. We are only agents to DNR, so DNR has full responsibility of this gauge and this weir, or this gate and this weir. So if come springtime, which we hope we get a lot of rain, if DNR or people call you and have concerns about the water getting too high, that will have to go through DNR. We will help DNR, but we will only act through DNR's request.
And ultimately, our goal is to take those calls so we can relate them directly to the levels of the lake, and then we know what impacts what. And we haven't had a chance to set up a phone, but we would, you know, I'm working with the deputy director to figure out what it is, and ultimately, the board last year said that they were happy if we took over management of the drain, and we were working with the DNR to do that. And then you don't have to see us anymore because we'll be working directly with them, you know. And so we've, you know, the point of being here is to keep the line of communications open so that you understand what we're up to, you know, because everything should be transparent. You should know what we're doing. If we, you know, if you have experience and we stray from what we should be doing, you can advise us and things like that. So my goal here is just to do updates.
Yes.
But Tony's been very helpful, and we all appreciate that. And we've spent hours out there on that weir and adjustment, but you gotta understand, we don't have any money to do anything. We don't have an assessment.
Totally get it. And, you know, that's why we did our fundraiser to get the device, because we have to keep on moving forward, and then we'll manage through. So, and I'm just a member of the representing, I'm not the president or any officer, I'm just a committee.
Again, as the snow and the water come this spring, if anyone calls the board or the surveyor's office and if the gate is open or closed, we will not do anything unless DNR tells us to do it. So if somebody calls, and there's lots of people out there that will call in and say things are happening, so you can be assured, this board can be assured, if we have not been told by DNR, we have not done it. So no matter what they say out there, somebody says somebody's opening or closing that valve, we are only working under the control of DNR. And they have access to DNR's people too.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Move on. Brad, do you have anything?
No specific attorney report, just say looking forward to working with the new board this year. I think this is my 5th, maybe 6th year serving with you guys, so.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Tony?
I don't have any surveyor's report other than Joint Board Kankakee River Basin Commission Technical Advisory met. We're going to do some spraying because we're going to try to keep ahead of the invasive species. We have some good work done. I believe the trees, most of the dead and leaning trees are out for also up in our area. And we have a meeting for the Kankakee River Basin Commission full board on January 27th, Friday at Plymouth. So if anyone would like to attend, you can. I believe it is also Zoomed for those who'd like to watch.
In regards to the 4-county board, there's a new surveyor there. They've got at least a $30,000 project coming up in February to approve. They've got $200,000 in their fund usually, and Jeff really needs to be there for the next meeting.
Thanks, Hugh. All right. We'll move on to number 5, claims.
I have one claim from M&K Excavating for the removal of a beaver dam on the Cook Ditch near 2400 South and the Porter County line, and that amount is for $1,000, and there is funding in that ditch fund to cover that. The work is complete, and I have pictures.
Do I have a motion to accept the claims?
So move.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, we'll move on to number 6, public comment. Is there any public comment? With no other public comment, move on to number 7. Motion adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Point of order. A motion to adjourn does not need a second.
Okay.
Also, the February 14th meeting is going to be at the LaPorte County Library, the main branch that's down the street in meeting room B, and it's going to be at 9 a.m.
We're at the library?
The library.
Is B on the main floor there, or is it in the basement?
All right, thank you.